Good morning. Good to see you all. Welcome, everybody. My name is Richard Maraj. I'm the senior minister here at Unity Phoenix, and it is a joy to see you, and it is a blessing to be with you. Today we have a fabulous service, and music is incredible. We continue on with our Songs of Life series. This is week 3 of 4. Today we're looking at the Beatles song, The Long and Winding Road. We also have some other cool things for you today, but we're so glad you're here today. Thanks for being with us. God bless you.
And I'm Reverend Tina Brown. I am Youth and Family Minister over Spiritual Education and Special Events. And I'm so happy to be here with you this morning, and welcome to each of you.
You know, people often ask the question, what is unity? And the best way I would describe unity is to say that unity is a church of positive, practical Christianity. It is based on the teachings and the demonstration of Jesus of the spiritual laws that he taught and he lived so freely. And our ministry, we don't teach original sin, we teach the original blessing. That is, that we are all children of God, that we are all created in the image and likeness of God, and we are here to live life and live it more abundantly. And it all centers around the 2 greatest commandments, which are to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love others as yourself. We truly believe that the kingdom of God is within us. That Spirit of God lives and dwells in each of us, and it's through the power of our prayer, our positive words, our thoughts, and our actions that we can bring forth the glory of God and experience the kingdom of heaven right here and now. And that is unity.
And it's now time for us to affirm our mission state together. Would you please join with me? Unity of Phoenix is a lovely spiritual community
that welcomes all people and honors all paths to God. We are dedicated to transforming lives by inspiring and awakening individuals to discover God's Spirit within them.
And now, won't you please stand and join in singing our first hymn, I Trust in God.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I surrender. I trust in God. As I receive this, I know and I believe in the flow. I let go. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the Spirit all around me. I'm grateful, so grateful. I trust in God. I trust in God. I trust in God.
So today is May the 3rd, the first Sunday in May, and that means it's
Birthday
Sunday. If you have a birthday in the month of May, would you stand up, let's sing and love you up, celebrate with you. Woo! Here we go.
You say it's your birthday. You smile at me too, yeah. You say it's your birthday. We're gonna have a good one. I'm glad it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Wow.
That must be a pretty good way to start your birthday out by getting the Beatles' birthday song sung to you. That must be pretty good. So we also celebrate anniversaries. So if you have an anniversary, whether it is in a relationship or at work or years of sobriety, some special anniversary for you that you're celebrating in May, if you are, would you stand up so we could do a little blessing for you? May.
Yeah.
All right, anniversaries all over the place. That's so cool. Wow. All right, everybody, let's put our hands out and let's do a little blessing and just affirm with me together. We love you. We bless you.
We bless you.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
We celebrate you.
We celebrate you.
And we behold the Spirit of God in you.
And we behold the Spirit of God.
Happy anniversary, everybody. Congratulations. Good stuff. Good stuff.
And it's now time for us to prepare for our meditation. So if you have your cell phones on, please put them on silence as we join together with Sean in singing Surely the Presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
And let us just take a deep breath and just release and allow ourselves to get still and centered and just know the presence of God right here, right now, in this moment. For indeed, the presence of God is within us. So we take these next few moments to just center ourselves and be still and be in touch with that presence within us for guidance, direction, for healing. And we release and let go of all those concerns we may have brought here with us today, knowing and trusting in this divine presence, trusting, letting go, knowing that all things are working together in divine order, trusting the right and perfect outcomes to come forth. So we call forth that holy presence, that Spirit within us, to reveal that which is ours to know today, to do today, to be and express today, and to heal those places within that are in need of healing. So as we turn within to that heart center, we just allow the Spirit to just well up within us, to fill our entire being, every cell, every fiber of our being. And we just take another deep breath and we relax in the stillness, in the presence of God, and let go. And as we gently bring our awareness back to this service and to this sanctuary, we remain centered in this divine presence and allow the voice of God to speak, to guide, and to lead us and direct our paths. And we give thanks in the name and through the power of the living Christ ever within us. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Morning, everyone. Good to see you again. A shout out and welcome to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So how many people here like the song, The Long and Winding Road? Ain't it a fabulous song? Do you know that was the 20th number one hit and the last number one hit of the Beatles? And the thing is, it was a number one hit, so clearly people like the song. Even though it's sad, people love the song because it connects with the part of us that realizes that life isn't always easy. It connects with the part of us that realizes that life doesn't always go as smoothly, as quickly, or as easily as we hope. It connects with that part of us that realizes that the road of life sometimes winds and is sometimes a lot longer than we'd like it to be, and so long sometimes that it feels that our dreams are just far away and that they are totally out of our reach. How many people are here have ever been really frustrated with your life? Anybody ever been really frustrated? Everybody ever been so frustrated, so heartbroken, so disappointed that you burst into tears and cried? Anybody ever cry? The fact is, I think we like this song because it touches a part of us that has some sadness and has gone through sadness. It touches a part of us that sometimes feels alone and lonely. It touches that part in us that sometimes feels vulnerable and is frustrated because we've tried and yet we seem to be getting nowhere along the path of our dreams or relationships or desires for life. It touches the part of us that sometimes feels a little defeated and deflated, a little beat up by life. And sometimes life hurts so much that all we just want to do is just cry. Kind of reminds me of this story of this 90-year-old man that was sitting on a park bench crying, bawling his eyes out. And a police officer came up and felt sorry for the 90-year-old guy who's crying. And he says, old fellow, are you okay? Why are you crying? He said, well, I got married to a 25-year-old woman. You're getting a little ahead of me, but thank you for the enthusiasm. And every morning, she wakes up and we wake up and she makes me an incredible breakfast. And we have fun together, laughing and relaxing. And then in the afternoon, she makes me a wonderful lunch. And, we have fun together and laughing and relaxing. And at dinner, she makes me a wonderful supper. And we relax even more and enjoy ourselves. And the police officer says to the old man, he says, man, you shouldn't be crying. You should be the happiest man in the world. And the old man says, I know. I'm crying because I can't remember where I live. And, okay. Not bad. So the fact is, in life, sometimes it's so tough, it really does bring us to tears. It sometimes hurts that much. The road of life, is not always easy. There are a lot of curves. There are bumps in the road. There are twists and turns. There are roadblocks. There are potholes. There are sudden stops. There are wrong turns and flat tires and fender benders. Life isn't always a smooth and easy road. Sometimes it's a hard road with challenges and difficulties and heartbreaks and betrayal and disappointments. Jesus said, in this life there will be trials and tribulations, but he also said, be of good cheer. And even though Jesus said there'll be trials and tribulations and be of good cheer, we still don't like the long and winding road. I want the short and straight road, the smooth and easy road, the everything the way I like it road. We like that road. We don't like the long and winding road. We don't like the frustrations and the problems and difficulties that we end up facing, whether it's a relationship or finances or spiritually or our health. And so the question this morning is, how do we live through? How do we handle the long and winding road of our lives? How do we negotiate through the tragedies, the difficulties, the adversities, and the problems that we all face? And so today, we are continuing in our annual Songs of Life series, and we do this because we love music. Songs have a way of opening our hearts and uplifting us and tapping into parts of us that we may have allowed to go dormant and to feel things. It is really amazing how powerful music is. In our first week, we did Ooh Child by the Five Stair Steps. Last week, we did The Living Years by Mark and the Mechanics, and today we are doing The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles, written by Paul, credited to Lennon McCartney. And it's a powerful song. People think it's a love story. People think it's about the Beatles. But here's a spiritual message. I think there's a powerful spiritual message. While it's a sad song, I think it's a healing song. I think it's a revealing song that helps us deal with the challenges, the frustrations that appear to us on the long and winding road of life. So what can we learn from the song, The Long and Winding Road? What is it there to teach us spiritually to help us live our lives in a fuller and more free way? And the first thing, I love that line. It says, the long and winding road that leads to your door will never disappear. The long and winding road that leads to your door will never disappear. And to me, that door is a door of God. The long and winding road of our lives is always leading us to God, always leading us back to God, and it will never disappear. Why? Because we are always connected to God. We are created in the image and likeness of God. We are told that we are the temple of the living God, that God's Spirit lives in us. Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. That connection can never be broken, ever be broken. And yet, the song says, and many of us feel, many times I've been alone. You left me standing here. Sometimes we have times in our lives where we feel unsupported. We feel like nobody's there for us. We feel alone. We feel unloved. We feel unsupported. We don't feel cared for. But that isn't the truth. Many of us feel that. You know, somebody once said, if you feel distant from God, who moved? Think about that. Did God move back and away? He backed off of you? You were so... No, the fact is that the distance and disconnect we feel from God is always within ourselves. That we feel disconnected because if God's Spirit is in us, how could we ever be separated except in our thoughts, in our minds, in our ideas? This is where separation and disconnection feels. Prayer is a unifying activity that brings us back into the awareness that we are one with God, that we are connected. Remember the story of the prodigal son, how he went away and squandered, and then he came back to his dad? We think that being off in a distant place means geographical and physical distance. It isn't. It's when we're disconnected in here. When we're distant from God in here. And that reconnection of leading you back to your door, and that connection will never disappear, is all takes place within ourselves. It's within us. And leading us back to the door is really to the door of your heart, to open your heart. I love what it says in Revelation. It says, I am standing at the door and knocking. And if you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to you and eat with you and you with me. God is always knocking at the door of our hearts and saying, will you just open up? Open your heart and just feel my presence and allow me to love you and to lift you and to support you. That is always there. But the question is, we don't always feel it. So right now, in the long and winding road of whatever you're facing in your life, are you willing to realize that everything in your life is leading you back to God? And it's calling you, knocking on the door of your heart to say, open up. Will you just open up and trust that I love you? Trust that I'm here for you, that I'm supporting you, that I have a plan and a purpose for your life. Interesting, the word adversity means to turn. So in adversity, where do you turn to? Are you willing to turn within to feel that unconditional love of God that is within you? You know, Jesus said, lo, I am always with you. There's no time where we're not loved and supported by God. But the truth is, we need to recognize it on the path and actually take time to turn in and allow ourselves to know that we are loved. Everything in my life is leading me back to God. Together? Everything in my life is leading me back to God. Deep breath. Even the problem I'm facing now is leading me back to God. Together. Even the problem I'm facing now is leading me back to God. God's Spirit is within me. Together. God's Spirit is within me. Deep breath. God's Spirit is all around me. Together. God's Spirit is all around me. Deep breath. God's Spirit is always with me. Together. God's Spirit is always with me. So the truth is, everything in your life is leading you back to God. That you are loved by God, you are supported. Will you open your heart and realize that great truth, even in the midst of whatever you're facing? So if the truth is that the long and winding road is leading us back to God and calling us to open our hearts, what are the ways that we handle all the difficult stuff along the path, and particularly the emotional stuff? Interestingly, Paul McCartney was asked about the song, and here's what he said. He said this. He said, the long and winding road is a sad song, but I like writing sad songs. It's a good bag to get into because it actually acknowledges some deeper feelings of your own that you can actually put into the song. It's a good vehicle, and it saves us from having to go to a psychiatrist. So one of the things I really love about this song and about Paul in this is that Paul, surprisingly and interestingly, mentions crying quite a bit. The wild and windy night that the rain washed away has left a pool of tears, crying for the day. Many times I've been alone, and many times I've cried. Isn't it interesting he mentions crying so much? One of the things about us human beings, particularly men, we are taught not to cry. Big boys don't cry. Showing tears or emotion or vulnerabilities or saying I'm scared or I'm weak or I feel inadequate are not feelings, particularly not for men, but even a lot in our culture, they're sometimes seen as weak. So we tend to bury our feelings. We tend to hide them and stuff them and pretend, and we don't allow ourselves to cry. Sometimes the only time we allow ourselves to cry is when we go to a movie. We go to a movie, we watch someone die in a movie, we start to cry. So we seem to give ourselves permission to cry at somebody else's life, but we don't always give ourselves permission to cry in our own. Interestingly, though, they've done studies about crying, and some interesting things about crying is that they say it is one of the most healing, cleansing, and releasing activities you can do. 88.8% of people who cry feel much, much better afterwards. It is like unburdening. It is almost liberating yourself from the pain. Instead of stuffing it down and letting it stay there, actually crying helps liberate. You know, I tend to believe that one of the reasons that men die earlier than women is because women are easier to allow their hurt and their feelings and their tears to flow where men aren't. I don't have any empirical evidence of this, but I think stuffing your feelings versus crying and letting it out is actually much more unhealthy for you, and crying is healthy. Interesting, women cry, they say, 47 times a year. That's about just under once a week. Men cry. That number may be a little low, I don't really know. And men cry 7 times a year. That is just under every other month. You know, we all build up hurt and pain and sadness. We all build up those emotions, you know, that are hurtful. And yet, you know, Paul is saying in this, you got to cry and let it out. You got to be willing to release it. And one of the things is that we're in this new thought thing, and we're always positive thinking and affirming, and I love all that. But do you know, if you do affirmations under pain that you already have, you actually do more damage and less good. Does that make sense? That if you're trying to cover up pain by affirming just positive stuff, it's not going to help you as much. But there has to be a cleansing and a releasing of it. And whether it's crying or journaling or talking to a therapist or whatever way it works for you, releasing is a powerful thing. So I ask you, on your winding road where you feel stuck or challenged or something's hurting or frustrating you, what are you holding on to that you need to let go? What feelings or emotions have you buried that you haven't expressed or released or cleansed or fully let go of? And the question is, are you willing to do it? And whether you let yourself cry or you go see a counselor or you do some journaling, I guarantee you, it will lighten your load to help you move along the road of life. 5 years ago, I started journaling. And one of the things is, like, from those morning pages, you remember the artist way? I just de-sludge. So I'll write things down like, I feel scared. I feel really inadequate. I felt really hurt and dismissed when such and such happened. I share some things that are just raw. I just share them to me. And, you know, some people think, oh, well, you shouldn't be affirming such negative. No, I'm not affirming it. I'm trying to let it out. And there's a difference between dwelling on it and wallowing in it and feeling it, dealing with it, and releasing it. And always feeling, healing, and dealing and releasing will always be a healthier thing because it clears the path. It lightens your load, and it opens you to allow peace and joy and love and inspiration to come into your life. So the long and winding road that leads us back to God, as a part of it, is to let go and cry, release the hurt. It's okay to realize, to be vulnerable and acknowledge it. In fact, it's extremely healthy and vital. shortest verse in the Bible? Anybody? Jesus wept. Think it's a coincidence they put Jesus wept? I think it was a demonstration of a model that sometimes in the losses and the hurts and disappointments of life, it hurts, and we need to cry. We need to let it out and let it go because it's healthy. Another thing about the long and winding road is I think it's good. We all want it to be easy, but I think it's good and it's important and valuable. The adversities, the challenges, the difficulties we face. How many people remember the show The Twilight Zone? Anybody remember The Twilight Zone? I saw an episode. I was 10 years old. I'm a kid. I see this episode, and it absolutely touches me. And so it's about this working class guy who's on that paycheck to paycheck kind of guy. And when he gets his paycheck, he'll kind of party a little bit. He'll go gamble. And when he wins, he'll go and treat everybody. And everything was really great. And, his life, sometimes he won, sometimes he lost. Sometimes women liked him, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes he'd get in a fight and he'd win, sometimes he wouldn't win. That's just kind of how his life went. When he'd lose his money, we'd kind of not eat and kind of struggle. Sometimes he'd go steal a little something to get by. And there's one time, he lost a lot of money. He thought, well, instead of just stealing a little thing to get by, why don't I go rob a bank and get a lot? I'll be good for a while. So he robs a bank, and he ends up getting shot and killed. And he wakes up in this beautiful mansion. And there's a guy with a beautiful, pristine white suit. And it's just gorgeous furniture, everything. There are piles of money there. And the guy says, welcome to the afterlife. Everything is here for you. You can have everything you want. You got as much money as you want. You can have the most beautiful clothes. You can go anywhere, anything you want. It's all yours. This guy is thrilled. He's thinking he was going to go the other place. He's so happy. He grabs a pile of money. He goes out there. He's going to horse races. He wins. Casino, he wins. Everything he does, he wins. And he goes out and parties. All the women love him. All the men love him. Everybody thinks they're clicking and going great. Doing this party and win like crazy. Things going so great. 2-3 months later, he's getting a little bored. And he's always winning. Everybody's always loving him. Everything's going great. So he starts trying to lose. And he's trying to lose. And he's trying to lose. He can't lose. He's frustrated that he can't lose. Then he starts treating the women not so good. And yet they still love him and they stay with him. He picks fights with the men. And he beats them up all the time. He always wins. Then he starts to try and rob places. And he tries to get caught. Not getting caught. He is just not having a good time. So he calls back the man in the white suit. And he says, man, could I go to the other place just for a little bit? And the guy says, no, you're here for eternity. And then the guy says, man, I didn't think heaven would be like this. I thought heaven would be more fun. And the guy in the white suit looks at him and says, what makes you think you're in heaven? I will never forget that Twilight Zone. And here's the question. Is heaven everything going your way and life being easy with no problems and no challenges or difficulties? Is that really heaven? Let me read the words from the Apostle Paul that I love dearly. He says, consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work in you so that you may be whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. M. Scott Peck says, everything that happens to us in life does so to make us more holy. I believe the difficulties and the challenges we all face in our lives is to help shape us and bring us to be all that we have come here to be. I don't know about you, but I've grown more from the challenges, traumas, tragedies, and difficulties in my life than I've grown from the things that were simple and easy. Billy Graham, the great minister, once said that this world has not been enriched by comfort and prosperity as much as it has been enriched by adversity. Because adversity causes us to dig deeper, to get creative, to find resources and skills and abilities that we may not have otherwise used. And it can bring forth such beauty and incredible music and talent and stories and ideas and creations. There is something about adversity that makes us go deeper into the mind and the unlimited possibilities of God and brings forth gifts, talents, and creations that we would not have done if things were so easy breezy. Give you a couple of examples. This guy, he wanted to be a great success, great businessman. He went into the tent making business, made these beautiful tents. Nobody bought it. The business was a flop. He was left with countless bales of denim. And he thought, what am I going to do with this stuff? I'm going to go broke. Came up with an idea. He thought, hey, maybe I can make some pants. out of this. And in 1850, Levi Strauss invented jeans. Sold them for $13.50 a dozen. And a dozen. He had a lot of denim. 1880, a pharmacist who was so blessed to have a job as an assistant pharmacist by the guy who hired him, who was a great success. The assistant pharmacist's name was Wade Morris, and he fell in love, besides being inspired with the pharmacist, fell in love with the pharmacist's daughter. The pharmacist really liked this guy, but he thought he was way too old for his daughter, so he kind of sent him packing. And because he was sent packing, he ended up leaving that place in Virginia and went to Texas, and he was inspired by the pharmacist how successful he was, so he bought his own pharmacy. And he encouraged him, just like his employees, to be creative. And one of his employees created this syrup for a soda. And this pharmacist, Wade Morris, decided to name the soda after the pharmacist daughter, and he booted him out. And the pharmacist's name that he named it after was Dr. Kenneth Pepper. And so that's how Dr. Pepper came. Another one, how about Saratoga Springs, 1853, a chef named George Crumb. One of the patrons sent back his French fries and saying, those French fries are too thick. I don't like them. He was offended as a chef because he knew he had the best French fries. And he thought to himself, what could I do to please this guy? And he even wanted to slightly irritate him. So he cut it as thin as he possibly cut it, fried it, put some salt on it, sent it out. The guy loved it. It became a permanent part of their menu, and potato chips were born. And it sounds silly, but it was born out of complaining. $7 billion Americans spend on potato chips today, just as a little FYI. Some of this stuff actually comes from a book called The Amazing Book of Useless Information, so I thought I'd share it with you. Thought I'd use it. 1948, Swiss engineer George Mistral went for a walk and came back with all these cockleburs all over him and his dog, and it was annoying to him. And he wondered what was in these cockleburs, that there was some kind of glue that would stick to them. He looked under a microscope and found that they were little hooks. He got an idea from this, and he created a hook and latch thing, and he named it after the words velvet and the French word crochet, which actually means hook, and Velcro was born out of a curiosity and a frustration. Just a couple more. Christmas time was really irritating for a young man named Stephen. His house was undecorated in a neighborhood that won prizes for Christmas decorations. He used to refer to his home as the black hole because it was the only house not decorated. He would say, Dad, can't we put up Christmas tree lights? And his dad would say, no, son, we're Jewish. And he'd say, be proud, be proud. He said, I'm proud, but I want Christmas lights. This is terrible. They ended up moving to Phoenix. Again, they were among the very few Jews in the entire neighborhood, only ones that didn't have Christmas tree lights. And overall, moving to a new town, he was lonely. So he created a little creature friend to confide in and to be his buddy. He was a hairless little creature from outer space. And many years later, Steven Spielberg had a very successful movie called E.T., based on the character and friend he created out of his loneliness. And the last one. In a French Academy of Sciences museum, there is a shoemaker's awl, and that's what punches the little holes in leather and wool, and that this particular awl represented both challenge, a tragedy, and triumph. And because that same awl once fell down while a shoemaker was working, and it struck his son's right in the eye and poked his eye out. Unfortunately, the son ended up losing sight in both of his eyes. He had to be sent to a school for the blind, and at the time, the only ways that the blind could read was using large carved blocks that were kind of clumsy and awkward. And then the shoemaker's son grew up, and he decided to devise a better system, or better reading system, which had punched dots in pieces of paper that they would just feel over. And so Louis Braille actually ended up using the very same shoemaker's awl that poked his eye out to create the system of Braille. But here's my favorite part of what he said. He said, tragedy and adversity will come to each of us in our lives, but we are the ones to choose how it affects us. When it strikes, some people ask, why did God allow this to happen? And others ask, how will God use this to bring forth more good? So whatever it is you're facing in your life right now, what is the good that is there to bring into your life? What are the gifts that it's here to bring? What is the way it is supposed to shape you into the person that God has called you here to be? I guarantee you there is wisdom, there is strength, there is beauty, there is understanding, there is creativity. There's so many things that are possible. The question is, what do you say about it? How are you facing the long and winding road in your life? One of the things I've come to realize, if there's something on your long and winding road that's challenging and frustrating, the reason it's there because it's yours. It is meant to be yours. I'm sure you've all had times I've thought to myself, God, I wish somebody else had this gig, and I wish I had somebody else's. But the truth is, the reason it's there in your life is because it's meant to be yours. It's your road. It's your situation. It's your goals. It's your soul calling you to something to something bigger and something better. So the fact of the life isn't easy. Life can be a long and frustrating and winding road. Seneca, 400 years before Jesus, said, it's a tough road that leads to the height of greatness. It is. And we just need to accept that and stop looking for easy street. We need to look at the things that are facing us on our road and be willing to cry and release from the emotional parts, to try and go deeper, to learn the thing that it is here to teach us, to shape us, and to call us higher to. And finally, the last thing I think we need to do is sometimes I think we just need to let things be. Sometimes we want to panic and run around and do all these things, and sometimes you just got to let it be. And just trust that God will show you the way. That sometimes just being still and relaxing and quiet and not overexerting and trying to do it all at once can sometimes be the easiest thing, just to allow and just to let God's love and light lift us and move us forward. Sometimes we think we always have to be about doing, but sometimes it's just about being and letting things be and letting them unfold in the best way they're supposed to. Not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. So this week, folks, as you face whatever you face, know that everything on your road is there to lead you to God. That everything you're frustrating with, just find ways to release it. Look deeper into it to see the lesson and how it's here to shape you. And finally, just let it be. Just let it go. Life is a long and winding road, but it can be a great one if you just let go and let it be good. God bless you all. Now my favorite part, the kids, let's sing them in with We Are Walking in the Light.
We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the joy, in the joy, in the joy. We are walking in the joy of God. In the joy, 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 in the joy of God. Yeah. In the love, in the love, in the love. We are walking in the love of God. In the love, 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 in the love of God. Yeah!
Welcome our kids!
Woohoo!
All right, so Reverend Tina, what was happening in the kids' church today?
Well, of course, it's birthday Sunday, so we had birthday celebrations. We had several birthdays today, or
Yay.
this month. And we've been studying about the faculty of power, how we can use it, misuse it, or use it for the good. So they've had some really wonderful lessons, and Devin got the power of life as his birthday stone that he selected. And so they've had a wonderful day today.
Fabulous. Well, guys, we love seeing you. We love to hear about the fabulous things you're all learning. And so we want to do a little blessing for you. You guys ready to receive it? It's coming at you. Ready? Here we go. Together, everybody. You are a perfect child of God. And God and I love you just the way you are. Amen. Let's hear it for our beautiful kids. Thank you, guys. You look great. And now, Dylan is going to lead us in our prayer protection. Let's affirm that together. Dylan, go ahead.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us.
I love
The
it.
power of God protects us.
And the presence of God watches over us.
Wherever we are, God is.
Amen. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, guys. We love you. Great seeing you. And as the kids return safely, let's all rise as we sing our song of peace.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
God bless you, everyone. A great day and a wonderful week. Hey there.
Wanna be still